The Democrats just voted to shut down the government.
House Democrats, House Republicans, Senate Democrats, and Senate Republicans reached a bipartisan agreement to fund the government, prevent a shutdown, and meet the needs of the American people. That bipartisan agreement has now been detonated because House Republicans have been ordered to shut down the government.
Today, we're diving headfirst into a real nail-biter, the potential US government shutdown looming over us.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking December 2024, just a few days before Christmas.
Right.
And the whole government is teetering on the brink of a full-blown shutdown. Now, you might be thinking, oh, great, another political standoff.
Yeah.
But trust me, this one's got a twist. This time, it's not just the usual suspects in Congress butting heads.
Right.
We've got President-elect Donald Trump and, wait for it, Elon Musk throwing some serious wrenches into the works. Here's the kicker. Initially, things were looking surprisingly peaceful. Congress actually managed to hammer out a bipartisan amendment to keep the government funded until March 14th, 2025.
No.
Bipartisanship.
Yep.
In this political climate,
I know.
it seemed like a Christmas miracle.
Well, it really is fascinating. In today's incredibly polarized political landscape, a bipartisan agreement is like finding a four-leaf clover. It usually means both sides are willing to compromise and prioritize stability over partisan battles. So this initial deal sparked a glimmer of hope, a sense that maybe, just maybe, things could work out for the best.
Yeah, well, that glimmer faded fast. Apparently, Trump and Musk missed the memo about peace on earth and goodwill towards all.
Right.
Trump wanted to ramp up the government's borrowing power, essentially saying, let's just max out the national credit card. Musk, on the other hand, was all about slashing spending.
Oh, wow.
Deep cuts, like he was trying to trim the national budget like one of his SpaceX rockets.
It's interesting to analyze their motivations here. For Trump, pushing for more borrowing isn't surprising.
Right.
Avoiding a government shutdown usually plays well politically. And increased borrowing can fuel projects that benefit his base. Think infrastructure spending, for example. Now, Musk's stance aligns with his well-documented libertarian views. He's a self-proclaimed fiscal hawk who believes in minimal government intervention and, yes, responsible spending.
Okay, but how libertarian are we talking? Like, does he think we should be paying taxes in Dogecoin?
Well, maybe not that extreme.
Right.
But his stance on government subsidies is a good example.
Right.
Musk has repeatedly criticized government handouts, even refusing subsidies for his own companies like Tesla and SpaceX. He believes businesses should stand on their own 2 feet, even those pushing the boundaries of innovation.
All right, so no Dogecoin taxes yet.
Yeah.
But this whole spending showdown obviously threw the Republican Party into a tailspin.
Yeah.
The revised funding bill, with Trump and Musk's competing visions woven in, got absolutely obliterated in the House of Representatives. Not exactly a picture of unity, huh?
No, not at all. And this House vote is a big deal because it throws us right back into shutdown territory.
Right.
Now, you might be wondering why you should care about all this political wrangling.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Government shutdowns have very real economic consequences. We saw this back in 2018 when a shutdown cost the U.S. economy an estimated $11 billion.
$11 billion. Ouch. And I remember how that shutdown caused major delays in everything from tax refunds to loan approvals.
Exactly. Shutdowns can trigger economic slowdowns, spook the markets, and make investors jittery. It's like throwing sand in the gears of a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
Suddenly, businesses are hesitant to invest, projects get stalled, and the economy takes a hit.
Right, but it's not just about abstract economic indicators, is it? We're talking about real people's lives being impacted.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the human cost of this political tug-of-war.
Okay, let's unpack that. We're talking about 3.5 million federal workers potentially missing paychecks right before the holidays. Can you imagine the stress and uncertainty for those families? And what about the ripple effects on local businesses that rely on those federal employees?
It's a domino effect. Imagine you own a small restaurant near a federal building. Suddenly, your regular lunchtime crowd disappears because everyone's tightening their belts. Or think about families planning holiday travel. A shutdown could mean long lines at airports because TSA agents are furloughed. It's a scenario that could play out across the country.
It's like this political drama is playing out on a stage where everyday people are the unintended audience bearing the brunt of the consequences.
Exactly. And unfortunately, the fallout doesn't stop there.
Oh.
The shutdown also throws a $100 billion disaster relief fund into jeopardy.
Wait, seriously. The fund that helps communities recover from hurricanes, wildfires, and other disasters.
The very same. And with the increasing frequency and intensity of natural disasters, this fund is more crucial than ever.
So what you're saying is, while politicians are busy fighting over budgets, families are struggling to rebuild their lives after a hurricane, and the aid they desperately need is stuck in limbo.
That's the unfortunate reality we're facing. And it raises some serious questions about priorities and the true cost of political gridlock. This situation really highlights the potential influence individuals like Elon Musk can have on public policy.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, is it appropriate for someone with his wealth and platform to potentially sway decisions that impact millions of people?
It's a valid question. We're talking about a collision between personal ideology and national needs.
Yeah.
It's almost like billionaires holding the government hostage over their political beliefs. It feels like a new level of political maneuvering.
What's fascinating here is the historical context. We've seen wealthy individuals exert influence throughout history, but today's rapid-fire communication amplifies their impact.
Yeah.
Think back to the railroad tycoons of the 19th century or the media moguls of the 20th century.
Right.
They wielded power, but it was limited by the speed of information. Today, a single tweet can send shockwaves through the markets or shift public opinion in an instant. It's a whole new dimension to the age-old debate about power and influence in a democracy.
And it feels like the stakes are even higher now with everything else going on. We're not exactly living in calm economic waters.
Right.
Inflation is hitting everyone's wallets. The stock market is on a roller coaster ride, and people are already feeling the squeeze.
You're absolutely right. A government shutdown, with its potential to disrupt the economy, couldn't come at a worse time.
Yeah.
It's like pouring gasoline on an already raging fire. A shutdown could erode consumer confidence, causing people to hold back on spending. Businesses might postpone investments, and hiring could freeze up. It could even jeopardize the fragile recoveries some sectors have experienced.
So for everyday people like us, this all translates to a giant question mark hanging over our heads. Will this shutdown be a short-lived blip or drag on for weeks, creating chaos? How will it affect our jobs, our savings, our ability to plan for the future?
This situation underscores just how interconnected our political and economic systems really are. Decisions made in Washington, driven by personalities and ideologies, directly impact Main Street. It's a reminder that we're all stakeholders in the system, whether we realize it or not.
It's easy to feel helpless in these situations, like we're just pawns in a political chess game. But I keep reminding myself that we as citizens have a voice.
Right.
We can contact our representatives, flood their inboxes with emails, make our concerns known, and demand accountability.
Couldn't agree more. In a democracy, informed and engaged citizens are the most potent force for change. Understanding the issues, engaging in thoughtful dialogue, and holding our elected officials accountable are more critical than ever, especially during times of crisis.
And it's not just about shouting from the rooftops or venting on social media. It's about educating ourselves on these complicated issues. It's about seeking out diverse perspectives, even those we disagree with, to understand the motivations and arguments on all sides.
This shutdown forces us to grapple with some tough questions. What is the appropriate role of government spending in a modern economy? How do we balance competing priorities like disaster relief and fiscal responsibility? How can we bridge the partisan divide to find solutions that benefit the entire nation, not just specific groups or ideologies?
Those are some heavy questions. And honestly, I don't have all the answers, but I think by engaging in these conversations, by being informed and active participants in our democracy, we can start to find a path forward.
That's the key takeaway here. This shutdown is a symptom of a larger challenge. Our ability to engage in constructive dialogue and find common ground in a deeply divided political landscape is a challenge that demands our attention and active participation if we hope to build a more stable and prosperous future.
Well said. I think that's a good place to wrap up part 2 of our deep dive into this government shutdown saga.